What's up guys, my name is Laura and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this look using the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. So I've been eyeing this palette, like I'll say later on, for a long time, but it's a little bit pricey. It's about $65, but it just makes these beautiful nude, so like a pink nude eyeshadow look. The shimmers in here are really beautiful. The glitters in here are really beautiful, and I just feel like it's versatile for a lot of different skin tones. I did this eye look for a night out. We had a holiday party to go to the other day, and this is the eye look that I did. And literally every time that I go out, I get asked, you know, how'd you do your makeup? So I wanted to share that with you guys. I haven't been to YouTube, at least, you know, creating my own stuff for a really long time. I did a couple of videos probably 5-6 years ago. And everyone just asked me, like, how do you do your makeup, and what do you use, and what products, and, you know, how do you apply eyeshadow, and how, you know, all these questions. So I just wanted to come on here and share that with you guys. I know there's a million YouTubers out there, but everybody does it a little bit differently. Everyone has their own technique. This is just what works for me. I'm really big on skin. I really want to make sure that you get that sort of flawless look. I just feel like without that base, sort of nothing else is going to look, you know, kind of measure up. So you'll see how I do that in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'd love to hear your feedback, things you'd like to see, things you didn't like, and maybe things you'd like to see in the future. So I hope you enjoy. Just keep watching. So to get started today, the first thing that we're going to do is you're always going to prep your skin. I like to use a hydrating moisturizer, which moisturizers are always hydrating, but I like to use a really hydrating moisturizer. I'm using the Fresh Vitamin Nectar Moisture Glow Face Cream. So it's this guy right here. I like to use this because of the way it smells, partially, and also because it just makes my skin feel really good. Then from here, I'm also going to add a face oil. So I've been using this one from Mercury. It's from the drugstore. It's just called Seriously Soothing. It's this blue Tansy Night Oil. I like it just because it really just settles right into the skin and doesn't leave you feeling super greasy. It is blue, so like don't be freaked out by that. I'm just going to pat that into the face. It kind of smells like the 4C iced tea from when we were kids. I don't know why, that's what it reminds me of. Alright, so we're going to let that soak into the skin, and then I like to do the eyes first just because if you have any fallout onto your face, you won't have to struggle with trying to clean that up on top of the makeup you just did. So I'm going to zoom you in. So the palette that I'm going to be using today is the New Nudes palette by Huda Beauty. I just really like this palette because it's just a really beautiful neutral pink palette. It offers a lot of pretty colors. The shimmers and the glitters in here are just really pretty. So I just think it's a good palette for everybody in all kinds of skin tones. So we'll zoom you in. So I am going to first prep my eyes with a base. So what I'm going to do is actually just use a concealer. I'm going to go ahead and use the COVERGIRL TruBlend Undercover concealer. I like this just because it's just pretty full coverage and will really cover like any veins or lines in my eyes. So just put a little on either side. And then just using a damp beauty sponge. I just like the beauty blender. I'm going to tap that in. Then I'm going to go ahead and set that with a loose powder. So I'm going to use the Hourglass Veil Powder. If you've seen this before, it's pretty popular. It's just a nice powder that isn't too heavy, isn't too pigmented. It just helps to make sure that the cream that you just put down doesn't start to crease up. So I always just like to tap that out one more time before tapping on the powder, just so that way if there is a crease, if it starts to settle, that you're not setting the crease line, because then that will never go away. So I'll just do that to the other side. Then I'm going to go ahead and go into the color Tickled. So it is this color in the palette, and I'm going to take a I'm going to take a Morphe 514 brush, so it just kind of looks like this. And I'm going to go ahead and take that color, and I'm actually going to just put it straight into the crease. I always take a little bit of, I always tap off the brush so that way you see all that fallout. You don't need all of that, and it'll just get kind of choppy and messy, so just tap off your brush. Then I'm just going to put this right into my crease. So you see where my eye folds? That's where we're putting the color. So once you get that to like a good sort of deeper color, then what we're going to do is we're going to go in with a little bit of a fluffier brush. I'm going to go in with a Crown C511 brush, and it just kind of looks like this. Just a little fluffier. And from here, I'm going to go into the color, Spanked, which is this one right here. And I'm going to use that to buff out some of that first color that we put down. So you're just going to go kind of right above, just slightly above this color. So I just want to deepen it up a little bit more, and this will help. Now we want to create a smoother gradient from here to sort of above your crease. So I'm going to keep that same brush, but I'm actually going to go into the color Secret. It's this color here. It's this kind of like neutral brown, pinky brown color. And now going just a little bit higher, I'm going to go ahead and start to soften this line. So now that we have a really soft, like nice transition, I think that's where I'm going to stop with the crease colors. And now I just want to deepen up this outer corner area. Just creates a little more depth to the eye, and it'll make you look a little wider here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little guy. He's a Morphe 506 brush. It just kind of looks like this. And I'm going to go ahead with the color Love Bite in this palette. So it's this darker purple color. It's really the darkest color in the palette. And I'm just going to go right into the outer corner. Just really softly. I'm not really pushing hard because I feel like if you put too much pressure on your brush, you'll end up with a big glob. So if you're just barely touching your eye, it gives you just a softer blend. And I want to stop about here with the color because then I'll soften that up, but I don't want to bring it too high because as soon as you blend it out, you're going to actually bring it up a little bit. Just kind of tapping it in here too, so that way you deposit some more color if you want a little more pigment. And I'm just going to go back with that crown brush that we used earlier, and I'm just going to blend this out. Just to try and get rid of this harsh line we have here. I'm actually going to go back in with that color Tickle, just to help soften it up a little bit more. Now just taking a big fluffy brush, I'm just going to take a Morphe 441 brush. And I'm just not going to add any color to it. I'm just going to use this to blend what's already here. This just helps bring the colors together a little more seamlessly. Now I want to cut the crease because I want to make this part like really pretty and shimmery. So I'm going to take a little bit of that same concealer that we started with. So that's that CoverGirl. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of my hand. And then I'm just going to take a flat brush, just whatever small flat brush you have. I have this one, which has clearly been used. It's like some no-name brand brush. And the way that we're going to cut the crease is, it's kind of hard to decide, okay, where do you want the color to start and stop? So the way I do this is I just tap a little bit of product onto your eye, definitely lower than where you would want to stop, and just look up. And then you end up with this line here. So now what we'll do is we'll just kind of connect the dots. Just slowly adding a little more product as you need it. So I'm going to stop about here because I want to leave this dark. Then I'm going to go in with a shimmer in this palette. I think I'm going to go in with the color Crave, which is the gold shimmer, which is right here. So just taking that on the back of just a different flat brush. I'm actually going to put a little bit of product onto the brush, so you can see it here, and then I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus. So I love Fix Plus because it just helps to amplify any shimmers or metallic colors and just make them really pop a little bit more. And that's how you get that really bright sort of sparkly look. So I'm going to focus this on the inner corner here. It's hard to tell if you can see like how shimmery this really is on camera, but it's really pretty. And just carefully placing it, don't go past where we just cut our crease. I'm not going to take this all the way in. I'm going to stop I'm going to go in about this far. Just keep building up the shimmer until it's as pigmented as you want it to be. And really so you don't see that concealer underneath anymore. It's a little hard with this color because it's such a champagne color. So then you can kind of see where I stopped. And now I'm going to go in, I'm just going to use a color switch. So it's just one of these guys. And I'm just going to clean off that end of the brush. You really just like swirl it right into that sort of spongy stuff. And then it, don't drop it on the floor. And then it cleans it off. So then I'm going to actually go in with this next metallic shade. It's more of like a lilac-y color. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some on my brush, spray it with some Fix Plus, and then go in to the remaining part that is just has concealer on it. And then just bring it in a little so you're overlapping with that gold. because it will just sort of blend the color. So don't worry about going into the gold. It's just going to be a soft gradient from the gold to the lilac. So now we need to get rid of this harsh line right here because that obviously doesn't look so good. So we're going to go back into that little fluffy brush that we used earlier. That's the Morphe 506 brush. And I'm going to go back into that color Tickle. And now I'm just going to help to blend this out here by just lightly going back and forth. To slowly get rid of that line. So then I'm going to go back into that darkest shade, the Love by color. That was that deep purple, and just the same brush. And now I just want to deepen up this corner one more time since we buffed that out a bit. So again, I just want to get rid of that harsh line, so I'm going to go in with that crown brush that we used and just go ahead and buff out that line. Don't bring it all the way in though, because then you'll smudge all this. So just focus it right here. So this is where we're at with the eye look right now. So now we're going to go ahead and put some liner on. So I love to use the Kat Von D tattoo liner. So this is it. The reason I like this guy so much, this might be hard to focus. It's just because this tip, if I can get this thing to. This tip is just really tiny and small, and the felt tip on this just really stays super wet, and I don't lose the color as I'm doing my makeup. I feel like with the Stila liner, it really just doesn't do it for me. I'm gonna go ahead and actually do this off camera, and then I will be back. So I went ahead and did my liner, and I did the other eye off camera, so this is what we're looking at right now. So we're gonna clean up all of this also. So now I'm gonna zoom you out, and we're gonna start working on our skin. So I like to do my skin before my eyebrows because it's really hard to do your eyebrows and then try not to get foundation all over them. So I'm going to start with my skin. So we already prepped our skin with moisturizer and the face oil. So now that's nice and sunk in. So it's kind of nice to do that first. It sets into your skin. You do your eyes, and then that way everything doesn't sort of slide around when you put your makeup on. I'm going to use the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. So as you can see, I literally just bought another bottle of this because it's almost done. I like this because it leaves your face a little sticky, which you won't feel once your foundation is on, but then it really helps your foundation grip to your face. So I really like that, and it's hydrating. I live in a really dry climate right now. We're in northern Nevada, so it just is, there's like a zero humidity. So I just put 2 pumps into my hands and rubbed it in, and now I'm just going to tap this into my face. Just avoiding your eyeballs because we just worked so hard on them. I'm going to bring it down a little bit here because you should really bring your foundation down. That way you don't just like have a ring that ends here. So then I'm actually going to use the Hourglass Stick Foundation. So because I'm in such a dry climate, I really need hydrating foundations right now. And this one is super hydrating. If you have oily skin, I would not recommend this. I actually might recommend the Milk Makeup foundation stick, which is this guy in the drawer of 5,000 foundations. I found it. It was in the bottom. So yeah, this is this white stick. It is a little drier. I wouldn't say it makes my skin look super dry, but the formula is just a little bit drier. I do like this foundation after it settles for a little bit, like maybe like 30 minutes. It actually settles better into the skin as you put it on. Anyway, so I'm in the color Sand in the Hourglass foundation, and then I'm in the color Golden Sand in the Milk Makeup foundation stick, if you're interested. So the trick with this too is don't put a ton on, because you will get creasing. It's a cream, so you'll end up with creasing, and that's just ugly. All right, so now that we've cleaned up, and don't mind my red eye from the hair I just pulled out of my eyeball, we're gonna go ahead and put some stripes on your face so that way you look like your best self. Just a little up here, some up here. Okay, and then we'll just do a couple dots down here. So this is how much I like to put on. I know I look absolutely insane. This is how much I like to put on, and then we'll buff it out. I actually recently bought these Eco Tools brushes that are super flat. They're actually, I bought them at Walgreens. They come in a pack of 3. Unfortunately, there's like a few hairs that like stick out, which is annoying, but it's very dense. So it's actually really great for buffing out cream products like this. And it even says it on the package. So I'm just going to go ahead and buff this out. I know it's a little warmer than my skin tone, but my face is so much whiter than the rest of me because just of exfoliating and all of that. So it'll look fine once we're all done. Okay, so now we're all said and done here. So now I really like to use a cream contour rather than just a powder, and I like that just because it looks a little more soft and natural. So I've been using the Clinique Chubby stick, this guy. I think it only comes in one color, unfortunately, but for me it works. So I'm just going to put a line here, a line here, a line here. The reason you do it here is because it pulls your eyeballs back, or at least it looks like it does. And then just a couple dots up here. And I'll do one stripe here and one stripe here to chisel the jaw. Then I'm going to take a damp beauty blender, or whatever beauty sponge you prefer, and you're just going to buff that out. So make sure you're not dragging it down. At the very least, you want to go up, but you definitely don't want to go down. So I'm going to go in with the color Custard NARS in the Radiant Creamy Concealer. So I'm just going to put some of that. So I love this product. It's like a medium coverage rather than a full. I also love the Tarte Shape Tape. But the Shape Tape is really heavy. So it just depends on kind of what you're going for. But I'm going to put some of this here. So you don't have to do a ton. Sometimes I'll do a lot. It just depends on kind of what I'm going for. But today, we're just going to go right into here. I'm going to stop about here. I'm going to come up into the nose a little bit so that way we can make it look like I have a smaller nose. I'm Greek, and God blessed me with a big ass nose, which I love. I have nothing against my nose. It's just like not the smallest nose. So sometimes I want a smaller nose. And this is what we're going to do. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to just put some right here on my chin. And then just down the center of my schnoz. Just like that. Then taking your damp beauty sponge, I'm just going to buff that out. And then what you're going to do here when you get to the side of your eye is drag it out to your temple. This will give you a very lifted effect. And then here it's going to meet our contour. So just lightly tap that together so that way they start to blend. This concealer or this foundation just really makes your skin look so flawless. So we're just blending everything together here, lightly tapping. And then here, you see how you can like see these dots? Obviously that's not attractive. You're just going to take the other side of your beauty blender that you use to buff out your contour and just soften the line that you see there. And we're going to do the same here with the contour using the stubby end. We're just going to bounce that where the concealer and the contour meet, so that way you get a better blend there. I'm just going to go right over this. And then same here. So this is where we're at after cream, bronzer, and concealer. So now I think I'm actually going to do a cream blush today. I'll probably set it with a powder blush, but I don't know, I really like creams. The older that I get, I'm going to be 31, and the older that I get, the more I like creams, because powders are for young people with no lines on their face, and that's not me. So I'm going to use this NARS. I just bought this. I've never actually used it before. It's the Orgasm Liquid Blush. I did just test it on my hand, and I realized like a little goes a long way. So I'm just going to do one pump on the back of my hand. It's like very watery, as you can see. Then I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take a brush. So in that Eco Tools, what I used to buff out my foundation, it came with other brushes. So this is like the medium sized one. I'm going to just tap that on to the brush, but then I'm going to tap the rest like on to the back of my hand, because you see how much comes off. Like, you don't want to put that directly onto your face, otherwise you're going to end up with like a big blob of blush, which is going to be a pain to get out. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go right on to I like to bring my blush all the way up. We're gonna start just lightly smiling. Then you could see it just deposits like a really light amount of color. And then I just like to take the rest of it and bring it up on the face a little bit. Again, I just feel like everything becomes lifted looking that way. So here we are. So now we need to set all these cream products down, because I don't care who you are, over time it's going to slide around. I really love the way that it just looks without powder, but unfortunately on me, there's no way that everything is going to stay where it is right now if I don't set it. So I'm going to go back in with that Hourglass Veil powder. I really like this because it does have a slight sheen to it. It's not totally matte, which for me I prefer. I like some of the matte powders. Like I used the Laura Mercier forever. But I found that, especially in the winter time, it's just like too dry for me. So before I just put some on my brush, before I go in and put that right under my under eye, I'm actually going to take my beauty blender and just tap out any creasing I might have got, because I put that concealer on and then I just like went to other things. So just always tap that out so you don't end up with a crease. And then we're just going to go right under the eye and tap that. I do a light amount. I'm not super into baking, honestly, because I do feel like it just leaves a white cast under my eye. I just can't get it out. And then I just feel like my under eyes just look super dry. And then I'm just going to take a little more on my brush. Again, just tap it out here. Just wherever you put that concealer, I'm just going to go ahead and set it lightly. This is just a Morphe 438 brush. It's just a tapered brush. I don't know why he's so crooked. I use him a lot. Okie dokie. So now we're going to set the blush and the bronzer. So I have been in love with this bronzer. So this is the Becca Sunlit Bronzer and Capri Coast. So this is the second shade in the range. So there's like one lighter than this. I love this. This has like a really beautiful sheen to it. It's just like, I don't know if you'll even be able to see it. I also have like 99 colors on me. It's just a really pretty sort of glowy bronze color. It's certainly not a contour color. I'm going to use the MAC 135 brush. I know Morphe makes a brush just like this if you don't want to pay the MAC price, because it's definitely not necessary. There's a few brushes I've had in my collection for quite a long time, and this is one of them. I'm just going to put a little on my brush, again just tapping off the excess and just going right into the hollows of those cheeks and just slightly round motions. the other side. Don't go below that line that we made. Keep it on it or up. And then just whatever's on that brush that's left, I'm just going to hit my forehead. I don't have a particularly big forehead, so I don't worry too much about contouring. Depending if you want to make your forehead look smaller, you would bronze where we did here. You might even go all the way down. So you can do that with the cream and then again with the powder. So again, we're just setting everything. So now I bought a lot of makeup recently. Don't tell my husband. I bought these JOUER, this like duo, and it is so pretty. It's the Rose Gold Blush Duo. It's the colors are, the darker one is Marigold, and then Rose Petal is the other. And they're just these really beautiful like pink colors that are really just universal. I'm going to use the darker color, the Marigold. Right, yeah. And I'm going to use this MAC 116 brush. It's just like a flat brush. And I'm just going to go dip into that. And then just tap lightly the apples of my cheeks and just bring it up. So to do my brows, I'll zoom you in. I really need to get them done, to be honest. I'm going to use the Morphe micro brow pencil. This is the color Latte, so I like this because it's nice and skinny. And then I'm just going to brush up my brow. And I'm going to go underneath here. I locked the dog out of the room. He's very upset. Oh, where were we? So just lining the bottom of my brow. I'm just going to follow a natural shape. And then go to the tail. And then I'm going to do the same to the top. And then we're just going to fill it in with small strokes. And comb it out just to soften it. And for the front, I'm just going to make little upwards lines. I don't like the front to be super square or blocky. So I'll just make these upward lines like this, and then I'll just kind of brush them out. So now just adding mascara to my top lashes. I'm going to go in with the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. And just do a light coat right on top. Before I do the bottom, now what I'm going to do is smoke out this bottom line, so it's a little bit sort of unbalanced because we have that like all this pretty eyeshadow on the top and then nothing on the bottom. So you want to balance that out a little bit. I'm going to go back in with the palette, and I'm going to go in with that color Tickle again. It's this guy, and we're just going to go in with the M506 brush. So it's just kind of like a small fluffy brush, and we're just going to go right underneath our eye, just adding a little bit of color here. Then I'm going to go in with a brush that's a little bit smaller. So this is a pencil brush. This is a MAC 219 brush. This is a small pencil brush. I'm going to go in with this color Love Bite. That's that purple color. Just putting some of that on the tip of our brush. We're just going to go just right against the bottom lash line, close to our bottom lashes. We're not going to bring it down quite as far as that other color because you want that gradient effect. So you should still see a little bit of that first shade that we put on there. I'm going to go in with her Mercury Retrograde palette, which is beautiful. I love this palette. It's so pretty. But it does have this nice deep color in it. So I'm going to go in with the deepest purple, and I'm going to go in with this tiny brush if I can find it in my mess of brushes. Tiny brush. Whoops. Where are you? Oh, here. It's right in front of me. This is the MAC 212 brush, so it's just very flat, you can see. I'm just going to dip that into the color. It's called Off Balance. And I'm just going to tight line. So that's just like going as close to those lashes as you can. I'm just getting really close in there. This will just give us a little more depth. And then I'm going to take a purple liner. So if you don't have purple, that's fine. You can go in with a black. I just happen to have purple, if I can find it in the hoard. Here it is. So these are the LA Girl Ultimate Liners. These are actually really nice. They're super creamy. You get really good pigment out of them, and they're really cheap. So this almost looks black, but it's actually, like, it looks more purple in person. It does have a little bit of glitter in it. I'm just going to put this in my waterline. So now I'm just going to go in and add some mascara to the bottom lashes and then pop on some falsies. So I'll be back. Now we're just going to go ahead and put some lipstick on. So I'm going to go ahead with the new LC Cosmetics lipstick in Bouquet. That's the lip liner, and then the Nude. So this lipstick is just like a very peachy color, and this lip liner is just a very just neutral sort of nude color. So I'm going to go ahead and line my lips. I like to use a liner because I feel like it defines my lips. I don't have big lips by any means, and it just defines them a little bit more, gives me a little bit more of a guide. So I'm just going to do my Cupid's bow first. And then just finish. Also, you could not see that. So just kind of go right into your Cupid's bow first. And then bring it down. Just a little bit. And then I like to go the opposite way. From where it connects, like your lip connects to your face. And then the other side. Otherwise, I find I go outside of the lines a little bit. And then I'll just tap on a little bit of lipstick. These are super pigmented and creamy, so you don't need a ton. This is the finished makeup look. I really like the way it came out. I think it's really pretty. It is colorful, but it's super subtle color. It's not like hot pink or something that you can't wear out. I wore this, like I said, to a holiday party the other day, and it really came out really pretty. I love the way that it photographed. And this foundation just is beautiful. Like, I do have some texture, but it's not super obvious. It really just helps to like blur your lines, your pores, like any imperfections you have, because it's such a creamy product. These lashes I really love too, but again, they do have a thicker band, so just be aware of that. They're a little bit hard to put on. And this lipstick is awesome. It stays on really well. It's a really pretty nude color, and she has, I think, 6 or so shades in the line. I got the pack, so they come in a duo, the lip liner and the lipstick, for like $42 or something like that. I think they're really great. She might still be having a sale going on for Black Friday that she extended on lccosmetics.com. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks.